let's just get started with where you're at in the process of establishing this firm. You have a first fund, is that right? And also, what's the size of that fund?
Right. So we've just announced in March to invest in early stage, companies in Southeast Asia and Japan. We have not announced the AUM. We actually invest our own proprietary capital, meaning that we're kind of the VC arm of our family office based out of Singapore. But we plan to invest in about 20 to 30 startups in the coming few years, depending on the macro environment.
Okay, so you have a first fund. We don't know the amount of capital that's been allocated to that, and you're looking to invest in startups. So what's sort of the time horizon here that you're looking at?
Right. So we've just started to invest in, and we're looking to, spend another few years investing and supporting our portfolio companies. But in terms of the timeline, we've already, looking into companies and started investing.
And which sectors are you most interested in?
Right.
Beyond
I think it's
AI
also dependent
and fintech,
on the region.
But which ones?
Yeah. Right. So especially within Japan, we're going to be focusing more on the B2B SaaS and AI sectors, especially because we see that, the issues with, aging population, decreasing population as a result, decreasing workforce in Japan. We think that these issues will create a huge opportunities for disruptive technology like B2B SaaS and AI, as, Japan has to improve their efficiency and productivity. So for Japan, we're looking into more B2B SaaS and AI, but within Southeast Asia, Southeast Asia can be very different in each country, but especially for Indonesia, we're going to be focusing more on fintech, which will be a more infrastructure that we'll need for the country.
Ray, can you elaborate a little bit more? You've talked a little bit about Southeast Asia. What about the Middle East? What opportunities are you seeing across those sort of markets?
Right. So we are looking into, our main focus in terms of the region is Japan and Southeast Asia, but we also have within the AUM opportunistic bucket where, if we see other opportunities in other market, we would be investing in other markets. And we think that Middle East would be, I think, the third region that we will be looking into. And within Middle East, we're quite excited about AI, especially as the government has, the governments in Middle East has decided to invest quite a lot in infrastructures of AI. And within Middle East, they have a kind of special barrier to entry because of the language. So I think for Middle East, we're going to be focusing more on AI.
What sort of returns are you targeting at this point?
Can you repeat the question? Sorry.
What sort of returns are you targeting at this point?
Right. Yeah. So I think we're thinking to, target about, 3 to 4 MOIC in terms of the return in 10 years. So that would be, more than 30% IRR. But because we are, just using our own proprietary capital rather than kind of fundraising from other external LPs, we will have quite a lot of flexibility into kind of investing into startups for a longer term if that's necessary. So we will be very flexible with, how we keep our portfolio companies.
Ray, just quickly, what sort of size investment are you planning to make here? In each of the different companies,
right,
what sort of
sure.
stage are you most interested in?
Right, sure. So when it comes to the stages, we are going to be investing from seed stage to Series A stage. So that would be about $500K to $1 million into an investment for each company. And that would be the first check that we would invest in. But over the time, if we believe that the companies will grow, we will probably do another follow-on investments on top of that first check.
And are you looking to? It seems like the capital is coming from family investors. Is that right? Are you looking to get outside investment as well?
So right now we are just a firm, kind of a VC arm of our family office. So the money is coming from my own family office. So we're just investing our own proprietary capital. When it comes to fundraising in the future, we haven't decided yet, but we are open to kind of, have a long-term strategy to think about fundraising in the longer term. But as of now, we're kind of accumulating our own pipeline and investments as a family office.
The Tokyo Stock Exchange is trying to lure some more outside companies. Would you recommend any of the companies that you invest in to perhaps consider listing in Japan? Can you give us, I guess, your assessment in terms of how you feel Japanese capital markets are at the moment, given the improvements that have been made in governance?
Right. So I think when it comes to VCs, I think we're going to be supporting our portfolio companies in Southeast Asia to be connected to Japanese investors and partners potentially, especially for fintech in Southeast Asia. We believe that Japanese investors has become one of the most important investors. So when we look at the numbers, the Japanese investors actually invested $1.4 billion in 2022 into Southeast Asia fintechs, which accounts to about 15 to 20% of the entire funding into fintechs, and we believe that this will continue. The Japanese investors will continue to be one of the most important investors in the region. So one of our unique approach is to connect these, portfolio companies in Southeast Asia to corporates and partners in Japan to facilitate either partnership or, even the market entry into Japan or even, potential exits. So that's one of the kind of unique approach that we do for VCs. And when it comes to corporate governance, I think it's a quite different topic in Japan, but we believe that when it comes to, public market in Japan, we really see that, Japanese public market has been performing pretty well because of the contribution of improvements of corporate governance. Since the TSE has announced to, announced to the listed companies to improve their price book ratio, I think the listed companies has, entered into this trend to really return, shareholders by, increasing dividends and doing buybacks, and the shareholders returning better, shareholders receiving better return are now reinvesting those profits into the market. So I think this has created really good positive cycle of recycling the money, and I personally feel that for public markets in Japan, that market will stay strong for the next few years.